So what is the consultation DVD? Anybody who got my pro system has it. Do you guys know that? Some of you are like, we got what with our machine I bought? What this is it's a DVD so that, because remember, the two things you have to do is what? Get people in the front door and get them to sign up, right? How do you get them to sign up? Well, you could train someone and hire someone and you could do it and there's all those options, or you could just do this. Somebody comes in and what do? You measure them before and after their session. Right, so you measure them, you do a session, you measure them, and when the tape measure goes down, ½ inch, an inch per measurement area, they're like, wow. What happens to, can you help me? Yeah, it's answered, it's solved. Right, you do the whole body vibration, and then you have them watch the consultation DVD. The consultation DVD is, I think it's like 17 minutes or 16 minutes or something, and they sit down and they watch it, and it goes through and answers what 4 questions do you think? Right? But it's me talking to them in a general way about their specific programs. And now, then what do you do at the end? You go in at the end and you just say, okay, so we figured it out. For your specific results that you want, with the specific changes you're willing to make, here's how long it's going to take. And you simply tell them. Right? And here's the normal investment. And if you pay in full up front, here's that investment. And what you'll find is it won't be as good as doing an actual consultation, but you'll easily get 60%, sometimes 70% if you do a little bit of extra work when you present the paperwork. But 60% on the low end by doing a session, measuring before and after, having them watch the DVD, and then telling them, here's how much your program is. And most of the programs are going to end up being around $2,000. If you're not getting 60% of the people to give you $2,000 to come in the front door, start using this. Right? If you want more than 60, you're going to have to figure out how to do the consultation, hire someone, train someone, something like that. But 60% giving you $2,000, that's pretty good. For doing nothing technical, not learning anything, not. Right? That's what the consultation DVD does. Closing consultations, right? When people come in and get in to say yes, right, is 75% these 3 things. Now, later on I'm going to say this is another 25%, this is another 50%. So that's what I mean by my math isn't going to add up. But I think you'll get the point. The first one is this. If you want to get 25% of the people to sign up without doing almost anything or remembering anything, all you have to do is be like them. That's it. Right? Who do people like? People who are like them. Right? So if you be like them, some of them will sign up just because they're like, I like this guy. I don't know why, but I'm going to sign up. Like, I like him. And why do they like you? Because you're like them. It's that simple. It's one little line up there. Number 1, 25% rapport. Just means be like them. Now, how do you be like them? Well, if somebody comes in, and they're sitting down on the front of their chair, leaning forward like this, what do? You sit down, lean forward on the front of your chair like this. Somebody comes in and they're sitting down like this. What do? You might not be like this, but you might be like this. Kind of leaning back, arms and ankles crossed maybe. You're going to be like them. How else can you be like them? So you can be like them in physical. So when they move, you move. When they move, you're being like them. And how else can you be like them? You can be like them in how they talk. Some people come in, they talk really fast. So what do you want to do? You want to talk really fast as well. If somebody comes in and they talk really fast, and you go, so today we're going to talk about they're not signing up already. Someone comes in and they're talking really slow about their life, their programs, and everything that happens. And you start talking to them really fast because, oh my gosh, you got an appointment coming up and you got to get through this. They're not signing up. Let's say somebody comes in and they have a super high voice and the voice is really high. What do? You raise your voice up. Now, if they have a super low voice, today, boys and girls, we are going to learn about, and you're a girl, what do? You get one of those little, no, I'm joking, but but you be like them as much as you can. So if somebody comes in and they have a really low, deep voice, and you're a female, what do? You're going to talk on the lower end of your female voice. If a girl comes in and she's got a super high voice and you're a guy doing the consultation, what do? Talk really high and try and match it. It's going to sound stupid, but you will talk higher on your tone as a guy normally would on the higher tone scale. So you're going to talk like them. Speed. Now, what if somebody comes in and they're talking really loud? What do you do? No, you don't talk softer. You talk loud, just like them. What if somebody comes in and they're talking very softly and you can barely hear them and you kind of almost have to lean forward and turn your head just to hear them? What do? You talk softly just to match them, just in the same way. Right? Be like them. Now, some of you, that little voice just went, they're going to know I'm copying them. Anybody? That little voice just say that? Just said some reason or excuse of why not to do what I just taught you to do. Now, when I was in a training, we spent 45 minutes on this one thing called rapport. 45 minutes of how, now, because not only can you talk to them about sound, pitch, body language, some people use predicates like, I see what you mean. That's clear to me. Oh, I can clearly see where you're going with that. And they're using visual predicates. Some people use things like, oh, I hear that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That sounds reasonable. What are they talking? They're talking about hearing predicates. Some people will say, that feels right. I just get a sense of what that means. They're talking about feeling predicates. And you can go into this, copy them in a lot of detail. So we spent 45 minutes doing it in this seminar. Okay, let's do exercise. We did exercises a lot, no big deal. Split us up. Half of you go in that room, half of you go in this room. We did that a lot. Went into the one room, and they gave instructions in the one room. Your job is to tell the most engaging story you possibly can. I'm going to give you some time to think about it while I go talk to the other people, but tell them like the most engaging story you possibly can. Goes to another room and says, your job is to do one thing and one thing only. Copy them. We just spent 45 minutes talking about it. Everybody was in the room, right? So then we got together, and how many people who were telling the engaging story knew that they were just being copied? None. Okay, maybe one. But we just spent 45 minutes talking about it, and they still didn't pick up on it, most of them. Nobody's going to pick up on this. They're just going to think what? I like this person. That's what they're going to think. That's all they're going to think. They're going to think, I like this person. Boom, 25% of the people are going to buy. That easy. Right? It's one little line, one little slide, but 25% of the people will sign up because you do this. So easy, so simple. Are you going to remember to do it? Right? Go back, review it, put it in your notes, put it in your thing, right? One of the things I do when I take notes is I always have a list of hot action items, right? Things that I know this is what I have to do, so that later on I can go back and review those items in 3 minutes. The 3 scripts I told you to memorize, hot action items, go back, memorize them, right? Remember, this is part of the consultation, one of those type of things. So number 2, hot buttons. 25% of the people will sign up when you figure out what their hot buttons are and tell them. We can help with X. Now, what do I mean by hot button? Right? Why do you want to lose the weight, Mary? That's the easiest way to find out what their hot buttons are. Ask them. Why do you want this? Oh, because my pants don't really fit. Okay, well, why do you want your pants to fit? Oh, because I'm tired of buying new clothes and I'm constantly just buying more and more and more. Okay, well, why does that matter that you're buying new clothes? Well, I don't know, because my husband is yelling at me for constantly buying new clothes and spending money we don't have. Ah, now I know. Now, everybody's hot button is going to be different. Now, sometimes you'll have some overlap and some common ones, but you'll see their face change when you ask them why long enough. Why do you want that? Why do you want that? Why do you want that? And they'll tell you, and then this is because, and they'll come up with their big underlying motivating reason why they want to do this. If you don't figure out what that is, I know the math doesn't work out, but 100% of the people won't sign up. Right? You need to know why they're really here. Now, with the hot buttons, the big thing you need to know is it's not just hot buttons about losing weight. It's hot buttons with everything in their life. That's how you build the value, right? Write that one down, star it, put a big highlight next to it, right? Hot buttons everywhere in their life. Their being overweight has impacted them in many areas of life that they don't even know of. And your job is to help them realize that and figure it out so that you also know it, right? People gain weight, they're going to have harder time sleeping. Okay, which is no big deal. Okay, it takes me longer to fall asleep. Tell me, how does that affect your energy levels? How does that affect your moods? How does that affect your job? How does that affect your friends? How does that affect your family? How does that affect your kids? In a lot of the questions, they'll say, it doesn't. It doesn't. And then you'll ask the right question, and what will they say? Oh, my wife has been so irritating, or whatever. Okay, that's how it affects the relationship. Now, tell me, what else have you noticed? Now, am I asking them, does it affect your life? No, I didn't ask, does it affect your life? Because if I ask them, does it affect your life, what is a possible answer? No, I don't want them answering that, so I'm not going to answer that question. They can't say no if you don't ask them, right? So, how else does this, now, on my intake form, some of you are going to look at it and that little voice in your head is going to go, 4 pages? I'm not using a 4-page intake form. That's ridiculous. Some of you, that little voice probably already said that when you saw my intake forms, right? Stop listening to that little voice. The 4-page intake form is written the way it is on purpose. Because I'm going to go through and fill it out. And what am I asking them about? I'm asking them about 2 big things. One, I'm asking them about all the 13 things in their life that put them into fat storage mode. And 2, I'm asking about all the other problems they have in their life. Because when they come in, remember, I'm just on 2 hot buttons, right? When they come in, I'm going to ask them, so tell me, you checked here that you have headaches. When did your headaches start? How are your headaches? Tell me about how your headaches are. And they say, well, they started about 5 years ago, and just on the previous line, they were like, my weight gain started 5 years ago. And you go, right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to tie as many of their other symptoms that find out which ones are really related to weight loss, because some of them will be. They will have other problems in their life because of the extra weight that they have, or correlated to the extra weight that they started gaining. Figure those out, because now, here's what you do. With every button that you find a correlation, or that they say, boy, maybe this is because of my weight loss, right? So now you say, okay, great. So your headaches started about the same time as your weight gain, right? Yes. So tell me, how do your headaches affect your job? How do your headaches affect your relationship? How do your headaches affect your kids? How do your headaches affect your energy levels? How do your headaches affect your mood? How do your headaches affect your, and there's a whole list. I don't know if it's in your notes or not, but it's on the data USB for sure. But those are the links. How does it affect your hobbies? How does it affect your life? How does it affect your anything you know about them that they've already told you is important to them? They that they play baseball? How does this affect your baseball game? Ask them about all of those. And now, that's with the headache. Now, what do? We do the same thing with their knee pain that started about the same time as their weight gain. We ask them the same thing, and we ask this about every one of their symptoms, because what will happen is as you're going through, they go, one of them that you ask, you don't know which one of them you ask to be like, oh, my energy level has been really crappy the last couple years. And I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it had anything to do with weight. Now, you go through this list, right? So now, okay, so that's energy levels. Now we go through with the headaches, we go through with the knee pain, we go through with everything. Knee pain, they might be like, I don't really get down on the floor and play with my kids anymore because it's so hard for me to get back up off the floor. You think that could be from my weight? Yeah. Right? And then there are headaches, Oh, I've been fighting with my wife a lot more, and I think it's mostly when I have my headaches. And by asking them these questions, how does this affect your life, your job, your family, your relationships, your kids, when you ask all those questions, how does this affect your fill in the blank with 20 different things? When you ask them that about every symptom, you will get at least 4 or 5 where they go, oh. And they'll tell you something like that. That's what you write down. That's their hot button. So now, somebody comes in, $2,000 to lose weight, please, and fit in your pants better and look better. I don't know. $2,000 to fit in your pants, look better, and be able to play with your kids and not fight with your wife as much and sleep better and have more energy so you can, what did I say the energy was, right? But do you see what I'm saying? Now, all of a sudden, $2,000, that's nothing. I get all that? Yeah. That's how you build value. Remember earlier? Who wants to pay $1,000 for this? No one, until you realize there's $2,000 worth of gold in it. No one wants to pay $2,000 for a program that to help them lose some weight. And if all you're selling them on is to lose the weight, you're going to not get a lot of people who say yes to your $2,000 program. They don't see the value in the $2,000. If you show people that you can change their sleep and moods and fighting with their wife and playing with their kids because you help them reduce their weight, awesome. Now they'll pay $2,000. Do you see that? And the question is, how does this affect your fill in the blank? And you do that with every symptom, every problem that's related to the weight loss or timely tied to the weight loss or could be contributing to the weight gain or whatever. You go through all those, you find all those hot buttons, you write all of them down exactly as the same, word for word. Now when you do the close at the end, you say, so, in order to help you get down on the floor and play with your kids, in order to help you not fight with your wife as much, exactly the same thing as they said, word for word. You repeated it because you wrote it down. In order to help you get all this, here's the investment. And now all of a sudden they go, what? That's not that much. Right? That's what the hot, again, one little line, one little slide. But if you figure out their hot buttons for all of the stuff that's associated with the weight gain, and then what's probably going to get better with the weight loss, now all of a sudden, it's worth it. Right? Now all of a sudden, it's worth it. Everybody see that? That one gets a big star. That one gets a big highlighter. That one gets a big, learning how to be good at that and tie those together is what's going to be able to take you from a $2,000 program to a $5,000 program. What do you do different? Nothing. Other than show them how we're going to help other areas of their life. It's the same thing with any other service you offer. What else do you offer? Take that same service, when you're selling it, ask the same questions to find out what is related to this other thing that we're going to do. It's going to be the same outcome. People will pay more and more for it. Nobody in my area will pay that kind of money for weight loss. That's because all you're selling is weight loss. Yeah, it's going to be tougher. And then the last one, the closing script. I think that's the next one. Oh, yeah, look at that. I put some slides in about them. So rapport, be like them, right? I talked about the intake forms and paperwork. Ask the key questions to find out their hot buttons. Now, the question chart of sessions, what does that mean? I have a page, double-sided, 10 questions, answer A, B, C, or D to it. And if the patient answers A, it's worth a point. So it might be a question like, are you willing to drink more water to help you lose weight? A, Yes, I'll drink half my weight in half my body weight in ounces of water every day. 2, I'll drink some more water. Sorry, it'd be B. C, I'll try to get some more water. And D, no, I'm not willing to drink any more water. Question number 2, how much exercise are you willing to do? A, I'll burn 500 calories worth of exercise every day by doing strength training activities. B, I'll do exercise most days, burning at least probably 500 calories. C, I'll do some exercise, but I don't know how much and how often. D, I'm not doing any more exercise. And they go through and they answer all 10 questions like this. Right? A is worth 1 point, B is worth a half, C is worth 0, and D is worth negative half. And at the end, you're going to get a number between negative 5 and 10. That's their level of commitment. Now, you take the level of commitment and have this nice little Excel sheet that says level of commitment at the top, number of inches they want to lose down the side, and you match up the two, and guess what you got? Yeah, number of visits it's going to take, roughly. Now, you start doing this with the first 20, 50 people, you're going to figure out probably what they're going to need just by winging it. It's not that hard, but until you get there, it's a really easy way to figure out what people need. Now, notice, do you see anything in here about packages? See anything in here about this service is $125 per treatment? No. What I'm doing is I'm going to recommend for that person what they need to get the results they want based on what they're willing to change. Every time with every person. Doing anything less is doing them a huge disservice. Selling a package of 6 or 12 or 20 that everybody can choose from and buy, not going to work well. You're going to get a bunch of people who go, I'll take the 6, even though that's never going to give them what they want. They do the 6, and at the end they go, this didn't work. Could have told you that from the beginning. You wanted to lose 100 pounds in 6 visits? But because you have the package, that's what they chose. Right? I do not recommend selling packages. Now, when your Groupon people are different, and I'll talk about Groupon people tomorrow, they're our own little special breed. For all those of you who buy Groupon specials and go get them, congratulations. Sorry, I'm going to make fun of you tomorrow. Everybody else gets the recommendation they need for how much they're willing to change based on what they want to lose. And that's it. Simply doing that, you may get a few less people who say yes, but your new patient value, how much money you collect per patient, is going to go up. And get this, you ready? Your satisfaction level that the patients report back at the end is going to be higher. Wait a second. You mean if I recommend more care, more people are going to be happier? Yeah. When I was in practice, everyone got a year care plan. Most of my colleagues think about that and look at that and they're like, are you freaking crazy? Like, but you know what? Almost 100% of my patients were happy with the care they received because I gave them what they needed, not what I think fit into their little model of what they should or shouldn't do, or, oh, I just slept funny last night. Can't you just adjust me one stock and make it all better? No, that's not going to help you get what you want. Right? So, focus on ideal weight. Look, not just changes. So from day one, I start setting the tone. And this is something I say all the time to get people to focus on their ideal weight. I ask them, what would you like the scale to read? And they give me a number. And I say, great. Now, what would you like to look like? And they tell me, well, I want to fit in this size or look like that or have this figure or whatever. And I say, great. Now, let me ask you a question. If you had that look, and you repeat whatever it was, right? If you had that look, but the scale still said the same number it does now, would you care? What does everybody say? Well, no. Yeah. If you had the body of Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt and the scale said 300, would you care? No. Exactly. Let's stop focusing on what doesn't even matter. The weight. Because here's what will happen. That whole body vibration machine you do after builds muscle. Muscle weighs more than fat. And if all you do is measure their weight, a lot of people will come in for 8 weeks. I've only lost 2 pounds. Okay, how your pants fit? Well, I'm wearing my old jeans that are 2 sizes smaller, but the scale weighs the same. And they're upset because the scale's the same. Right? You have to approach them from day one and get them out of the mindset of the weight to actually achieving what they want, which is if they really want to focus on their weight, that's fine. Don't focus on losing it, focusing on your ideal weight. But really, ultimately, what do you want? You want to look a certain way. Let's focus on that. However you get there, so be it. All right, now, this other line right here, what changes have you noticed? This one gets big stars, big yellow highlighter. How many of you have patients come in and go, Doc, after 5 years, my blood pressure medication finally started working? You guys know what I'm talking about? And honestly, we know what happened. Why did 5 years, why did the blood pressure medication finally start working? What happened? Because we actually helped their body start working again, and so now their blood pressure is back to normal. But they blame it on what? The blood pressure medication. Now, this is use whatever. It happens all the time where the patient comes in, their life got better, and they think it was something else, had nothing to do with you. Right? Does that or does that not happen all the time? This will eliminate that from ever happening again. You will never have a patient not attribute the changes in their life to what you give them. And this is true with the weight loss, because here's what happens. If all you do is just sell weight loss and get people to lose weight, it's nice, but you're not going to get the full effect of what you're actually doing to help them, and they're not either. So you start asking them, what changes have you noticed? Right? Star that one, highlight that one, right? In my practice, I never asked, how is your pain? How is your neck? How is your symptom? How is your problem area? I never asked that. I always asked, what changes have you noticed? Because I started it off on day one saying, how does this affect your life, your mood, your emotions, your headache? So we get them the bigger picture that this is more than just their symptom they came in with. And now on all the successive visits, we ask them, how is your life different? What changes have you noticed? Because now they start going, well, I've been sleeping better. Awesome. And because you're asking the question, what do they think in their mind? It must be what you're doing. And they start attributing all their positive changes to you. What do you think happens to their satisfaction level at the end of their care program? Through the roof. Right? You need to spend $3,000 to pay a management company to manage your negative PR? No, because there isn't any. Right? When you ask that magic question, what changes have you noticed? And I ask that in practice, and I ask that in my weight loss business. It's the same thing. I want to start looking at all those things that we found out in the beginning, headaches, neck aches, energy levels, playing with their kids. How is that changing? That's how I built the value up and what we're going to get them to do. And the funny part is when you do that, people will start noticing those changes, and they'll notice it because they're losing the weight. And then the last one up here, health miracles. That was just me. Quick little tip I like to throw out there is, you want to create health miracles for people? It's really easy. Ask them on day one, what would be a health miracle? They'll tell you, and it's the easiest thing in the world to get. But because they think it's so foreign to them, they believe that's a miracle. So then when it happens at the end, in 3 weeks, what do you say? Look, you said this would be a health miracle, right? Yeah. Look, did you get it? Yeah. Oh, great. Fill out a testimonial for us, right? Remember, my mission, my purpose was to create 500 health miracles in the community. It's that easy. Set your goals up front. Define what they are up front. All right. So closing the consultations, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the big idea of consultations. How do you get people to say yes? So at the very end, I said it earlier, but slide in case I forgot. What are you doing? Now you're not finding them. What are you doing? You're repeating them back to them. And this is the key. Word for word. So you're at the end of the close, right? And you're about to tell them, here's how much it costs. And instead of just saying, hey, it's $2,000, you say, hey, look, in order to get your wife and your relationships, you don't fight as much, in order to be able to play with your kids again by getting down on the floor, in order to lose the weight, in order to, you go through all their hot buttons and you say them word for word, right? What do? And now you say, that will be an investment of, and you say the amount. And now all of a sudden the people go, that's not that much. I get all that for that? I'm in. But if all you do is say, we can help you lose weight, it's $2,000, what do you get? A lot of resistance. You get a lot of people going, that's too much money. Right? That's how you build the value. That's how you get over it. And now, I said this, and I'll say it again. You say they're hot buttons, word for word. Here's what so many of us people think we do in our super smart mind. We say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paraphrase what they told me back to them in different words so that they understand that I really know what they're talking about because I'm able to convey the same message using different words, right? Isn't that what we all do? And then what does everybody say? They go, so, Mary, what you really were saying to me is blah, 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 blah. And she goes, no, not quite. Try this. It's so funny because that little voice in your head is going, this is ridiculous. It's not going to work. Say exactly what they said. Word for word back to them. And you know what they'll say? Is this what you meant, Mary? And you repeat back the exact same words. Literally. And you know what Mary says after you repeat back the exact same words? Yeah, exactly. They use those words for purpose. If you use those words, they're like, oh, this person gets it. They understand. Right? So, when you talk about their hot buttons at the end, right before you talk about the price, it really is key to use that word for word, and that's why you write them down word for word. When you go back into their care program, a week from now, 3 weeks from now, whatever, and you talk about, so Mary, what changes have you noticed? And Mary goes, nothing. Mary, it's been 3 weeks. You haven't noticed no changes? No. Flip open their chart. Okay, Mary, you said here you had trouble playing with your kids, getting down on your knees. Oh, yeah. No, I have been playing with my kids more now. Right? I feel like slapping Mary upside the head. I thought you just told me there was no changes. I don't do that. That's what I feel like. I said, that's great, Mary. Tell me. How about your husband? You were fighting with him because every time you had headaches, you guys would get in arguments. Oh, yeah, we haven't fought in a couple weeks now. And it's so funny. When something goes away, that's definitely not going to be a good one. When something goes away, people forget about it until you remind them, right? So those hot buttons, I use word for word like that for everything. And so any questions on the hot buttons, right? So you're not just getting the hot buttons on weight loss. You're getting the hot buttons on everything. Right? There it is. I knew the list was in here somewhere, right? All right. Why do you want to lose the weight, and how does this affect you, right? So why did they really come in? What do they really want to get out of this? Find that motivating hot button, and then find out their hot buttons about all the other stuff, right? How does it affect your work, sleep, energy, moods, relationship, hobbies, right? Anything like that. And then you ask them, what changes have you noticed? And they pay more, they're happier, they get better results, they attribute it to you instead of all the stuff that it shouldn't be attributed to. So this is all the text that I went through earlier, right? Tell me about your headaches. Tell me about your neck aches. And on the intake form is all those little check boxes, right? Now, and I didn't say this earlier, so I better say it now. So not only is it all their other symptoms, but it's all those 13 things, because what we're going to do is we're going to tell them what? What's the first thing out of the 4 things we're going to tell them? What's wrong? What's wrong is you're in fat storage mode, not fat burning mode. And you go through. So tell me about your stress, because that's on the intake form. Tell me about, do you ever skip meals? Tell me about all those 14 things are asked of them on their intake form, because now when you're doing the consultation, what do? You just go through them to show them how this is actually cut, and you explain, you educate them. Look, when you skip meals, here's what happens. When you drink caffeine, here's what happens. And you just educate them on all those things that the intake form asks them about, including their symptoms, right? Including their symptoms, right? How is your headache? Because you want to dig down. This is how you build the value. You guys feel like you're getting it? I feel like I'm starting to beat a dead horse a little bit. Everybody understanding, right? This is 25%, just that, like getting their hot buttons, using them word for word, right? There it is. Write it down, word for word, repeat it. So now, This is the other 25%. Wait, you mean nothing else we learn is going to help close consultations? No, remember, the math doesn't add up. But this one is the other 25% done with every patient. Right? Done with every patient. And what I do is I sit down, I flip open one of their charts or one of the back pieces of paper, right? Because they want to know what's wrong, right? So I'm about to tell them. And I draw out this little scale that just like you see up there. I go ideal weight and overweight. Right? It's just like up there. And when I say, great. Now, everything you do in your life moves you one direction or the other. Everything, right? So now you just educated them on the 13 things. So now what do? You say, great. So you have caffeine. Which direction does that move you? That's key. You ask them. Now, because you just educated them, what are they going to say? Well, down, yeah. Draw an arrow. Right? Great. How about skipping meals? You skip meals? Yeah, I get busy at work. Which direction does that move you? Down, that's right. And what do? I draw another arrow towards the down, right? Just like up here. And every arrow that they do, and you ask, which direction does that move you? You draw an arrow. If somebody says, if you ask somebody, oh, do you eat sugar? Oh, I eat a lot of sugar. What do? I draw a bigger, thicker arrow. Right? Somebody says, oh, I only drink a little bit of pop. Okay, I draw a little arrow. Right? But everything they do, when I ask, which direction does that move you? I draw an arrow, draw an arrow, draw an arrow. And then what do? I say, great. So what do you do to be your ideal weight? And I shut up. I don't give them solutions. I don't give them help. I don't feel sorry for them. I shut up. And they'll go, diet, exercise, right? And what else do you do? And all of a sudden they got 12 arrows down here and 2 up at the top. And they all said, which direction does it move you? Which direction does it move you? And so now you hold up the piece of paper and you go, what's the problem? What's wrong? And they're going to diagnose themselves. Because now, what do they believe? They believe what they said. Right? Okay, yeah, Mary, what's the problem? Yeah, you got more down here than up here? Yeah. Now, this is my favorite question. Right? Remember, all these scripts, all this stuff is on your data USB. Some of it may be or may not be in the notes, but here's my next favorite question. So important. What I say is how long has this been going on? And they're going to tell me some variation of years. That's right. And then my most important favorite question, because I hate this response. Oh, I thought it would be a lot less visits. I hate that response. So what I did is I ask them this next question. I say, so good. How long is it going to take to reverse this lifetime of buildup of breakdown towards overweight? All right? Very specific question. How long is this going to take to reverse this lifetime of buildup of breakdown towards being overweight? And they're going to answer. What do you think their answer is going to be? 2 visits? A month? This is how I got away with a year care plan. Because everybody I asked this question to, except for instead of ideal weight overweight, what I did is I put down health and wellness and disease at the bottom, right? And I'll talk about that on Sunday if you're going to be here, but everyone gets access to my consultation if they get my pro system. But when I ask people, here's your life, here's health, and here's disease. How long is it going to take to reverse this lifetime of buildup or breakdown towards disease? When they say 3 years, and I only recommend a year, it's great. Right? So now, I said this question earlier. What's the magical question you ask here? What's the last thing you ask? Who's your biggest competitor? Yes. What happens if you do nothing? Eliminate that option by asking that question. Now, some people might say, well, I'm not going to lose any weight. And you might have to coach them a little bit. You say, hey, yeah, you probably won't. You're right. What do you think is going to happen? Have you been gaining or losing over the last 5 years? Well, gaining. So if you do nothing, what's going to happen? Oh, I'm going to continue to gain. Yeah, now they believe it. They said it. Right? So you might have to coach them a bit. But most people out, when you ask them, what's going to happen if you do nothing? They say it, right? And I'm sitting there doing a consultation, and I draw this out on everybody's chart. Everyone's. Because this is what's wrong. You're doing more towards fat storage than fat burning. That's what's wrong. And everybody gets it. They don't question it. They don't think, I don't know if that's true. I need a second opinion. They get it. Now, what do? What's the second thing they want to know of the 4 things? This is what I do, Mary. And what I do is I go like, I draw a big, huge arrow, just like that, just like the one in the picture up there. This is what we do, Mary. Right? We have a light therapy device that actually puts your body into fat burning mode without you having to do anything. Right? That's why we can get results and guarantee results. Nobody else can, because we do things differently. Right? That language I use all the time. Right? Now, Mary, same thing I said earlier. If you don't change anything, we're going to get you results, but do you think it's going to be faster or slower than it could be? Mary, if you change some of this stuff and do more up here than down here, what do you think is going to happen to the results? When I ask the questions, right, if I just tell her, look, Mary, this is your wellness and ideal weight scale, and this is your sugar and it goes down here, and this is your caffeine and it goes down here, and then this is your diet and exercise that you do up here, and this is what we do up here, and if you do nothing, you're just going to get worse, and if I just say everything, it's not going to work. People don't believe what you tell them. People believe what they say. So if you ask the leading questions like the ones I've been giving you, and then the people answer, they believe it. They said it. It has to be true. Ever seen somebody argue that we had this discussion last night, and I think I was wrong. I was saying the wrong thing, and this is, I think, what I really said, and no. You ever seen someone argue that what they were saying was wrong? Ever in your life? Once? Anyone? Yeah, maybe if you're married to a scientist, right? But everybody else in the world, what do? They argue to be what? Everyone. Everyone. Even a scientist in a heated debate is going to argue that they're right. They're not going to take the opposite point of view, the scientific point of view that, well, let's see if we can prove this wrong, and if we can't, then it must be true. No one's going to. They just argue they're right. And what are they right about? When they say something, it now becomes word. It's the almighty truth because they said it. And it's no exaggeration. That's why you ask the leading questions. Right? So, key, 25% of the people saying yes. Now, how do you do, if you offer any sort of wellness services, you do the exact same thing, but instead of ideal weight, overweight, it's health and disease. Wellness and disease. And it's the exact same thing. So, Mary, what do you do that moves you down towards disease? What else do you do? And you ask all these questions. Right? And Sunday I'll go into that in detail, but you also have DVDs of that training. I'll talk about that tonight a little bit, but same thing. Right? I put this in there. I said it a bunch of times. Your biggest competitor is them doing nothing. Now, we got the first question, what's wrong? We got the second question, can we help? The third question is what? How long will it take? So now we go into the flip chart. So now, you guys all have, or I shouldn't say you guys all, but most of you in this room have the flip charts. You hit print, they're right on the data USB, laminate them, spiral bind it, use the PowerPoint if you want on your computer, turn your computer around, go through the PowerPoint, but you now go through the flip charts. Flip charts take a couple minutes, 5, 10, 15 tops, right? You go through them because now what we're doing is we're showing them two things. One, we can really help because we build up more of how it can help. And two, right, we're going to talk about how long it's going to take them. Right? So here's the main page on the flip chart, right? It's just sitting there on the desk usually until you come in, right? Right? You flip it open, right? So what's wrong is your fat cells aren't opening up, right? We already talked about that. So here's how it works. Now, on your data USB, because remember, the key is not talking to them. If all you do is talk at them, they're gone. What have I been doing for the last 5 hours? I just did it right there. If you say more than 2 or 3 sentences in a row, they're gone. If you ask a question, what happens? Yeah. And then more importantly, whatever they say they believe. So, on your data USB is 14 key questions to ask with all of these flip chart slides. Because when you educate them a little bit and you ask them the proper leading question, by the end of it, they're sold because they sold themselves, because they said it. So what are those 14 questions? I'll try and remember them as I go through because they may or may not be in your book. I may forget a couple, sorry, but they're all on your data USB. Right? So you ask them key questions. Now, the other big thing about these slides is you do not read the red print at the bottom. The red print at the bottom is for their unconscious mind. Their unconscious mind reads everything in a heartbeat, and it will remember and process it just like it was truth if you don't talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it enters the conscious mind, and now they may or may not have questions. They may or not believe it. Who knows? Don't read the red print at the bottom. Don't talk about the red print. That's for them because they're looking right at it. They'll see it. Right? So, how it works is the red light causes the fat cells to open out. Out comes the water, glycerol, and free fatty acids. Right? And the fat cell does what? And the quote shrinks. Right? Now, and so as the fat cell shrinks, what happens to the size of you? I think that's the key question for this flip chart page. Right? What happens to the size of you? You shrink. And they all say it. Right? Now, the other kind of the beauty of this is covering your butt from a legal perspective. If you never promise them that they're going to lose inches, but you just ask them a question, what do you think is going to happen if we do that? And they say, I'm going to lose inches. You never promised anything. Right? So where does the fat go? Right? Now, you talk about the water, glycerol, free fatty acids, right? Guess what happens to the water? And everybody says, oh, I pee it out. Yeah, right? The glycerol and free fatty acids gets used as energy in the body. Now, if I change this up here with Vivaz to a healthy lifestyle, what would happen to this chart? And everyone says it'll stay the same, yeah? Right? So, is it safe? Yeah, it's FDA-approved technology. Health Canada approved since 2005. TGA doesn't require approval. It's so safe. It doesn't change your cholesterol levels, and it contains 3 missing links. Now, quick side note, why did I put anything about cholesterol in there? Because everyone always used to ask, will this change my cholesterol levels? Because we're talking about fat, releasing fat. So if you put it in there, what happens is they don't ask that question later. It just makes it easier to deal with, right? Same thing with the consultation as I do with the training. I did it enough that I kept putting stuff in, changing it, so that it just flowed in the way people would normally ask the questions. Now, what's one of the missing links? That's the key question to this slide. If they don't know, I point at the machine in the corner. I don't ever say, right? What's one of the missing links? How do we help get results no one else can get? And they go, well, you have that machine. Yeah. Now, they said it. They believe it. Right? We'll get to the other 2 in a moment, right? So does it really work? Yes, it does, because we're kind of still answering that second question a little bit. It still works. We got this, we got that. It's the same things. How do you prove that people works? Guarantees, before and after photos, video testimonials, and scientific studies depending on who the person is. Some people only want to see the studies. Some people only want to see before and afters. Some people want to see before and afters and hear about your guarantee. Some people only care about the guarantee. Well, got nothing to lose. You got a guarantee. Let's try it. Right? You just hit on whatever it is going to be for them. Right? So yes, we can really help you. So now, what kind of results you can expect? What do you think I'm going to say on this slide? Anybody think they can guess? What's the thing I say over and over and over again about helping them to motivate to get better results? The more you do, the better results you're going to get. I say the same thing here again. So Mary, would you like to lose more than 2 dresser pant sizes in 42 days? Yeah. What are you going to have to do? I'm going to have to make more changes. Okay, what does she believe? Right. Show them some before and after pictures. Now, you probably won't be able to see them in the slides, but on your before and after slides, when you print them off, you're going to see some people with stretch marks that are before and after gone. You're going to see some people with, various different things before and after gone. Make sure you point those out. Because some people, yeah, I'd like to lose weight, but now they find out their stretch marks get better, they're in. Right? Versus they might have said no because it was just weight before you pointed that out in one of the pictures. This is the lady who, if you look on the actual flip charts, you can see before and after, her stretch marks are gone. Leave this in. This is in the flip charts. You flip, here's a before and after, here's a before and after. Boom. People do the same thing you guys did today. You giggled and laughed, and so did they. All right, what I usually say here is we can even help stone, right? Now, one of the things that sets us apart, because this is always what I'm doing, I'm going to talk a little bit. Can't just only ask questions, right? But one of the things that sets us apart is we actually customize a program for you based on what you're willing to do and how much you want to lose. Now, it's so funny, but guess what? When you tell people that, you know what? They're just like, that's a good idea. How come no one else does that? I don't know. It doesn't take common sense to know that a customized program is better. Now, I'll teach you later today how we actually do that, but you tell them that, right? So we figured that out. And based on those things, we're going to give you a specific program to achieve those changes based on what you're willing to do. So what are you telling them right here in not so many words? You're not going to make me go on an impossible diet program or something I don't want to do? Correct. I don't need to change stuff I don't want to change in order to get results? No, you don't. You don't say that, but that's what they're getting from the message, right? Now, you're going to go through some alternatives, right? Now, in your area, whatever's big, what do? Talk about that. Not necessarily focus, but you're definitely going to talk about it. You're definitely going to spend some time on it, right? So, talk about, lipo and lap band and, all the different things that are out there. And what's probably one of the biggest ones in a lot of areas is what? Cool Sculpt. Anybody have Cool Sculpt in their area? Yes. Did you know that I actually have a thing that talks about the comparison between Cool Sculpt and Vivaz? Because I'll have it. It's on your data USB. How many of you are going, what is on there? Now, it's a comparison. It's really simple. You print it off. It's 2 pages, one on each side, and you can either memorize it, use it, give it to them, whatever you want. And basically, that's how you talk about Cool Sculpt if it's big in your area. It's not big in every area, but a decent number of areas. So I actually made a thing for it for you guys. So you can hand it out as flyers. You can learn about it. And the big things with Cool Sculpt and any other type of surgical thing is that it kills the fat cell, which means later what happens? It's going to come back, right? So, go through all the different alternatives, whatever they may be for the people. Now, some of the other missing links. Now, if you'll notice, quick pause real quick. One of the things you're doing all the time, and if you pay attention, maybe even in hindsight, now you'll notice, but you didn't notice before, you're always forecast, like, oh, you know what, we're going to talk about this in a moment. We're going to get to that. We're going to show you how to do this. They're called cliffhangers. Every time there's a commercial on TV, what happened right before that commercial? Something that you want to find out what happened. It's the same thing. I did that in the PowerPoint presentation. We're doing that here in the consultation. We're doing that when we're out in the public. We're always alluding to what we're going to talk about. That's something that they want to know, so they're waiting for it to come. We talked about the missing links earlier, so what do we talk about here? Now we got the missing links. So some of the other stuff we do is called the VAS vision. Now, if you go back and you lose all this stuff and you go back to your same lifestyle, what's going to happen later when you leave? Yeah, it's going to come back. So the only way to change that is by changing your mindset so that you naturally make healthier choices and keep the weight off. We do that with Vivaz Vision, right? And you explain that. Now, if you don't want to do Vivaz Vision, Don't talk about it here. Take out this slide, change it, right? I'm just saying this is what we did in our office, right? We had to help people change their mindset so that they'd be more likely to keep the weight off. And we do that with advanced vision. Now, you can do that with all sorts of things. You can do binaural beats. You can do, biofeedback. You can do, right? And I used to do a lot of those different things. That's just the easiest one I know of on the market that patients love, right? So that's why I talk about it here. And I talk about this helps you change your mindset so you're more likely to keep the results off. Now, we talk about it, we sell it, we build value around it, but at the end of the day, here's what happens. First time patients try it, when they say yes, they go, that was nice. And they want to do it again. It's not a struggle. And then the last thing we do, right, is we customize the program to you. Right? So, can everyone do it? Now, why do I have this slide here? Yeah, right? Just make sure that they don't have any contraindications. You ask on the intake form, do they have any of these? But, hey, let's make sure you're fully eligible. Do you have any of these things? No? Okay, good. We can help you. Now, thyroid is on this slide. Thyroid is on the intake form. Thyroid is not a contraindication. Thyroid problems, what they will tell you is sometimes people will get slower or no results because of them, so you just want to be aware as a practitioner so you can address them accordingly. Here's the question. Someone has thyroid issues, you ask them, have you lost weight before while you had your thyroid problem? If they say yes, they're going to lose with the machine. If they're like, no, everything I've done, I've tried so many things and absolutely nothing has helped me, they may not lose even with the machine. That's why you want to know if they have issues. So you ask those two questions, or ask that question, have you seen results before with your thyroid issue? And they'll tell you, and whatever their answer is going to be your answer. If they say, yeah, it's no problem, they're going to lose just like everyone else. If they say, yeah, I have been able to, but it was slower than before my thyroid problem, that means they'll get results on the machine faster than they would by themselves, but it's going to be slower than the other average people. It's the same question. What if they don't have a thyroid? Same question. Have you lost weight since they've removed your thyroid? Well, yeah, I did diet and exercise a couple months ago and I lost some weight. Okay, well, it's the same answer. Right? How they did it on their own is how the machine's going to do it, but faster. If they've absolutely been unable to, the machine might not even work for them then. And now you talk a little bit about how you customize their program. And which ones do you talk about? The ones they answered on the 10 questions about what they're willing to change. Talk about what that means to them. Talk about how that's going to work for them. Right? And then you go through the value binder, and this one is key. What you do, and now on your data USB is an example value binder with all the different pages. You just hit print, and it's everything that I talk about in this weight loss training. But what else do you put in that value binder other than weight loss stuff? Everything you do. All right? And now what you do is you sit there and you go through the person. You say, and now this isn't it, but you go through and you say, okay, so here's what the whole body vibration machine does. Here's what the Vivaz machine does. Here's what the Vivaz Vision does. Here's what the detox program does. Here, and you just go through everything, and it's everything that you do in your office. Doesn't matter if it's weight loss related or not. Because sometimes you go through something, and what are some people going to do? I didn't know about that. Can I do that too? Sure, we'll add that to your program. Easiest way to cross-sell services. But the biggest thing that this does is not to cross-sell. The biggest thing that going through the value binder does is now, when you go through their care plan, they already know what it does. So it doesn't take forever to go through the care plan because you're trying to explain everything that you're doing and what it does for them. You've already done that. Right? So you go through the value binder. Right? It prevents a lot of questions, right? And now, this is what I do. You don't have to do this. This is what I did. All right? And I asked them, Mary, if we can get you, and you go through all their hot buttons, if we can get you this, Mary, will you send in your family and friends to us, right? My goal is to create 500 health miracles. I can't do that if people don't come in to see me. So if I can get you these results, Mary, will you send in your family and friends? Yes, I will. Okay, great. Because now, 4 weeks into the program, when I got those results from Mary, what do? Mary, remember when you said if we got the results, you send in your family and friends? What can we do to help? They promised a referral. Now you're just asking them to do what they promised. And what do people do? They believe what they say. They do what they say, right? They're not gonna be like, no, I didn't say that. I mean, just another easy way to get referrals. You don't have to put this slide in if you don't want to, or you don't have to say this thing here if you don't want to. But it's very powerful. Now, notice, have I asked them, do they want to do the program? So what am I actually doing? I'm asking them for a referral before they even said whether or not they're going to do it. What does that do to the psychology? Totally changes their mindset. Oh my gosh, this guy is so confident. He's asking me for and they don't necessarily say this, but this is what happens. He's asking me for referrals, and I haven't even said yes to the program yet. What does that do to the doubt about whether or not they're going to see results? It's now gone. It's gone. They now know this is going to work. And this is the same thing that you can do with anything, not just weight loss, any other programs you offer in your office. You ask for referrals before they even said yes, and it just increases your conversion rate. And guess what it does later? Increases your referrals. Right? Now I pull out the sheet with all the recommendations. And now, because I did this in the value binder, went through everything, now what do? It's really simple. Right? As I just go through and I talk about each of them, because I already did it earlier, say this is what we're recommending. Now, in my office, right, what we did is because everything was a customized program, I would cross out anything they didn't want. We're not going to do this with you though, Mary, because you didn't want that. And I just cross out whatever they don't want. Right? Here's the total value. Now, on your sheet, the total cost at the bottom, the $19.80 in this example, is not on there. All they see when you whip this out is $7,092. It's all they see. As you're going through it, you pull it out, that's the first thing they looked at. In their mind, they're going, oh, $7,000. Oh. Right? And you go through and you relate it. So now, Mary, we're going to do this. We're going to do the whole body information because that's going to help with your lymphatic flow. And you know how you had trouble with swelling in your feet and ankles and you couldn't wear the shoes you wanted to wear? That's going to help you wear the shoes you want to wear. And Mary, we're going to do the homeopathic detox program. And that detox program, what it's going to do is, you know how you always have this ache and this pain in your side? You can't go play volleyball like you wanted to go play? Well, when we do a detox program, it's probably going to get rid of the ache and the pain. And what am I doing? What am I saying here? What am I repeating? All of their hot buttons word for word like they said earlier. And I'm tying it into these services. So now it's not $7,000 to lose weight. It's $7,000 to have everything in your life change. And some people will be like, okay. Right? It'll be 5 or 10% of the people. But 5 or 10% of the people will say yes to that $7,000 price if you're doing it right. And at that point, you just want to go, okay, let's get you started, right? I mean, $7,000, right? But some of them will. You know that's how you're building the value, right? Now, Mary, what we're going to do, right, is this isn't $7,000, right? For you, right, we go into the price, right? We're going to cross off what they don't want, and then right the time across the top, what you're going to do is people want to know what's the third thing they want to know? So right across the top, what you do is you're going to put 8 weeks or whatever it is. You're going to write down the time for them. This is how long it is. Right? Because that's what they want to know. Right? And you don't fill in the price. I talked about that. Right? You go through the inches lost. You go through their hot buttons. You go through all that. And then at the very end, before you actually tell them the price, any questions? And they'll say, well, no. And usually what's the most common question? How much is it? Because you haven't told them, right? Or they think they know it's $7,000, or they go, is it really $7,000? Whatever, right? Anything related to money, though, you just go, I'll get to that in a moment. Any other questions before then about your care plan? Right? No? Okay, good. So, here's how much the program's going to cost. right? Here's all you're going to get. Talk about their hot buttons again, right? Now, what we do, Mary, is if you pay in full up front, we give you a discount because you don't have to pay us every visit. You don't have to stand there and schedule all your visits. It saves us time and money. We pass that on to you. So normally it's $2,500, but if you pay in full up front today, it's $2,250. All right? So you're explaining why the prepay is discounted. So Mary, all right, would you like to take advantage of that prepay discount? Did I ask Mary, does she want to do this? Did I ask Mary, is this a program for her? No, I asked Mary what? Yeah. No, I didn't ask how she'd like to pay. It's a good question, but I don't like that one. I'm asking her, does she want to take advantage of the prepay discount? She can say no to that without saying no to care. If you don't want them to say no to care, don't ask them a question that leads to a no to care. Right? So, if I could, Mary, would you like to take advantage of the prepay discount? Now, guess what some people will say? Yeah. Do you take credit card? Yeah. Great. And you know what will be the funniest part? That patient who complains about the $25 copay every single visit, and you're doing a consultation with them going, oh my God, what am I doing? A little voice in your head is going crazy. And you go, so Mary, would you like to take advantage of the prepaid discount? Yeah, no way she's doing that, right? Mary says, sure, here's my Amex. When you sell what people need, they don't want to pay money. When you sell what people want, they'll pay it all day long. Huge difference. Would you like to take it now? Some people will say, oh, I'd like to take advantage of it, but I don't have that kind of money. If I could make this affordable, would you do it? Now, guess what everybody's thinking in their mind? They're thinking, oh, they're about to discount care. They're going to drop it even more. Fabulous. Who cares? Doesn't matter. If I could make this affordable, would you do it? Well, will everybody say to that question? Yes. Few people will be like, oh, I don't think I want to do it, and that's okay. Great. Right? If I could make it affordable, would you do it? Yes, great. So how much can you afford to put down? How much can you afford per week, not per month? How much can you afford per week? Right? Great. Do you have a checking account? We can make that work. Let's go get you started. Let's go get you financed. Easy. Right? Did I ever ask them, do they want to do the program? Because then they can't say no to it. It's easy. Right? And when you have monthly payment, now, how do you get these monthly payment plans? I think that's my next slide. Nope, not quite yet, but that's okay. I have a slide in here, so I'm going to wait for it. I'm going to talk about how you can finance every patient, period. Now, notice, I offered a 10% discount. That's what I recommend, 10% to prepay. If someone wants to finance, do I give them that 10% prepay discount? No. Now, at the end of the day, when you finance people for these programs, some of them won't pay. You'll end up with a collection ratio of about 90% of what you build, quote unquote, to these weight loss collections. You'll end up with about 90% of what you build collected. Now, how many of you would like an insurance collection rate of 90%? How many of you know that's never possible? Right? Now, if you're collecting 90%, what that means is you're getting the exact same amount as if everybody prepaid at the end of the day in your bank account. So, does it matter that 10% of the people end up not paying? No, because you get the same amount as if everybody prepaid. You just have to wait a little bit for it. Okay, big deal. Sure, it's nicer to get it up front, but big deal. So many people run from financing patients because, oh, some of them don't pay. Who cares? What's better? Have everybody prepay and get $10,000 in your checking account, or finance a bunch of people, 10% of them don't pay, but you have $15,000 in your bank account? You tell me, which one's better? Right? Sure, you have to wait for the money, but it's better to end up with $15,000 in your bank account and 10% didn't pay. There's no way you're going to collect $1,650 if all you do is everybody has to pay up front, but you will collect $15,000 if you offer financing, and you'll only collect 10 if you only accept people who prepay. Right? To me, it's a no-brainer. Finance anyone who wants to. Right? And I'll show you how on a future slide. So let's say, and this is my favorite one. First one, someone says, oh, I didn't think it was going to take 23 visits, Doc. Here's what you do. What do you do? Pull out that ideal weight overweight scale and you say, well, Mary, it doesn't have to take 23 visits. What can you do to make it less? And now they say, well, maybe I could stop this and this and actually drink some more water. I know I answered I didn't want to drink any water, but it's not that hard. I suppose I could do anything for 6 weeks. Then you do the calculations real quick and you go, okay, that'll save you 8 visits and $400. Did I discount the care? Did I give them a lesser care plan than what they need? No. I adjusted their care plan based on the new things they're willing to do. And when you ask them like this, some of them will, some of them won't, but now they get it. And now the question of, oh, why isn't it shorter is a moot point. They never wonder or question that anymore, ever again. Why isn't your care plan shorter? Because this is what you said you're willing to do. You want to change stuff? We can make it shorter. Right? So it's discounting care without actually ever really discounting it. And when people see, oh, you mean if I change this, this, and this, it saves me $500? A lot of times they change their answers because now they're willing to do it for the $500. Right? Money objection. I will say this about it first. If somebody says, oh, it's too much money, what did they just tell you? You sucked at showing me how this would change everything else in my life. That's what they really meant to say. That's too much money. What they're really saying is, you sucked at showing me how well this would change every other area of my life. Do you guys see that? If they think it's too much money, it's because they don't see how it's going to impact all the other areas of their life that are important. And they're not going to sit down. How many of you have extra time in the day? No one raised their hand. Now you guys are all being truthful, right? Man, you guys are a quiet crowd. Nobody goes, okay. Let me think how this weight loss program could change my life. I got a few extra minutes on my day. Let's just, okay, so I think, I have headaches. Maybe if I lost some weight, my headaches would, nobody's going to do that. No one is going to do that. You have to do it for them. If somebody says it's too much money, it's because you didn't show them how their entire life was going to change. Or maybe you didn't show them how their life was going to change at all. Maybe all you did was talk about weight. That's why it's too expensive for them. That's why it's too much money. It's not because the money itself is too much. It's because how much they're spending doesn't correlate what they want back. Now, here's some objections, but here's the thing. When you do this properly, you don't have money objections anymore. Now it's just people are like, I just don't. You never hear it's too much. When I say never, you never say never, right? But you just don't hear it that often anymore. When you do, here's what you could say. I love this one, right? How much do you spend on your house? How much do you spend on your car? How much time do you spend in your house and your car? Okay, so let's do the quick math. You're spending $3,800 a month for something that you spend 2 hours a day in. How much time do you spend in your body? Oh yeah, you're there 24 hours, aren't you? So let me tell you, would it maybe be worth a fraction of that price that you're spending every month? And then you go through their hot buttons again. Right? So the real money objection is you have to build value, showing them how it's really going to change their life and all their other areas of life with all their other symptoms and all their other problems. And then the money is no longer an issue. All right, so far we learned about the consultation. We learned how to talk to people. We learned about getting referrals. We learned about how to do the PowerPoint presentation. Now, if somebody comes in, they say yes to care. What else can you do? Cross-sell them on something else, right? Get them to buy something else that's going to help them. So, I love this slide. 6% of the people in the world that have ever gone to see a chiropractor, 66% of the people are obese, 30% want to spot reduce. Which market do you want to sell to? I want to sell to the one that's got a lot higher percentage. It's much easier, right? So here's the easiest way. Now, I'm going to give a lot of examples for chiropractic because I'm a chiropractor. If you're not a chiropractor, sit back and enjoy until slide number 4 or so, and then I'll start doing some other examples. But that being said, right, here's the first one. Easiest question is, they're doing the consultation and you ask, do you have any reoccurring or chronic pain? Or they mark down on the little symptom forms that they have reoccurring pain, neck ache. What do you say? You say, great. Did you know, remember when I taught you earlier, pain actually causes your body to go into fat storage mode? We might be able to help you with that pain. If you want, we can get you set up for a $17 consultation. Would you like to do that? It's going to help you improve your weight loss results and help you get more of your playing with kids and fighting less with your wife and all that good stuff. Right? So that's the easiest way to get people to also do chiropractic services. Now, will everybody do it? No. Will a lot of people do it? Yeah, a lot of people have reoccurring or chronic pain. All right, number 1. Number 2, here's what I did. This is what I did in my office. During the initial consultation, I would also do a chiropractic consultation with it. All right, so it took me an hour, but I got a ton of referrals for the chiropractic side. So part of the exam, part of the thing is I'd say, look, part of what's going on here is I don't think your nerves are functioning properly. What we need to do is we need to actually scan and check your nerves to see how much of an impact, if any, that's having on your weight loss, your fat-burning hormones. Nobody ever went, no, I don't think you should check my nerves. Nobody ever said, no, I don't think you should get to the bottom of why I'm not losing weight. No, I don't think you should figure out the cause of what's going on here. No one's ever said that. Right? When you do it from the perspective of actually helping them to figure out what's going on underneath, it doesn't matter that it also is getting them to buy something else. If you do it just to try and get them to buy something else, probably won't work as well. It'll probably still work, but probably not as great. But you do it from the perspective of let's see what we can really do to help you, and it works out well. All right? Number 3. So let's say your person who's doing the consultations isn't the doctor. What can you do? Have the doctor come in and talk to them. All right, now this one here is for any doctor. Why? Because doctors have this perceived role of authority. We must follow what the doctor says, and the doctor's word is everything, and so use that. So what do? You go in as the doctor, and you just simply take a look and you say, look, so-and-so told me you wanted to get this button and that button gone. And then it was probably related to your weight loss, right? But I also see that you have this button, that button, and that button, but that's not related to your weight loss. We might be able to help with those things, though, with some of the other stuff we do. And you don't ask, because remember, if you ask the question they can say no to, what will they do sometimes? They'll say no to it. So you don't notice in here, it doesn't say, would you maybe like to get scheduled for a consultation? No, the doctor just says what? Let's get you scheduled for that consultation. It's $17. It'll help us see the bigger underlying pictures of what's going on. Right? Number 4. Here's my favorite question. If we could speed up the results of that you get here in this office by you watching a 12-minute DVD, would you be willing? Simple, easy question. If we could speed up the results you get here by having you watch a 12-minute DVD, would you be willing? Some people say yes, some people say no, amazingly enough. Really? 12-minute DVD to speed up results and you're not willing to watch it? Okay, fine, but some people say no. People who say yes, what do? I haven't watched the cross-referral DVD. Now, if you're not a chiropractor, don't let them watch this. Right? Because this is referring people into chiropractic services. I made it specifically for that. What do you think it talks about on there for 12 minutes? Yeah, chiropractic, the nerves, what the nerves curl, autonomic nerves, the parasympathetic nerves, the sensory nerves, right? All the same stuff I talked about this morning when I talked about nerves. Same thing. So if you don't do that, well, then don't have them watch this TV. There's the question I just said, right? Ask them about their symptoms, right? Hey, if we can help, would you be willing to watch this 12-minute DVD? They say yes, great. Right? Simple, easy way to do it. Now, another way. I said earlier this doesn't really cover by insurance, but some insurances actually cover some of the various different things, right? CPT code 97026 infrared code, right? Light and heat to raise the temperature, right? And if it happens to treat fat loss at the same time, so be it. Meaning that with some people, some insurance companies, some states, you can actually bill and get reimbursed for infrared light therapy. Right? It's usually in the range of $15 per visit, which is not that much if they're paying $125. Is it even worth it? I don't know. Some people do it, some people don't, but I put it up there because I know about it. It's simple, it's easy. Now, this slide here applies to everyone. What else can you help them with? So it doesn't have to be the things that are up here. Anything that you do that you can help somebody with. Here's the easiest way to get them to do it. You can say, hey, I noticed here that you checked X. We can help you with that. Do you want to find out more? I noticed here that you did this, and we can help you with that. Would you like to find out more? Right? These are just some of the other things that the machines and my different additions and systems can do, which I'll talk more about later tonight. But anything that you do, you can put on that list. Hey, I noticed that you have this. We can help you out with that with some of our other services. Are you interested in finding out more? It's as easy as that. Anything else that you do that you can help them with, simply tell them and ask if they want more information. If so, go through whatever it is you normally do to get them that more information on that thing. Let's say you do medical weight loss. Let's say you do, I don't know, what is somebody doing here that's totally different than anything I talked about so far? Anyone? Bueller? What do you do? He's a teacher. All right. So, hey, do you have trouble learning? I know some techniques and systems that might help you learn better, faster, and quicker. Would you like to hear more about it? She said allergy systems up here, right? And that's what I mean. Anything can fit in here. Just put it in, right? Hey, you checked on the box that you have some allergies. We actually have a special, unique way to treat allergies and test for allergies. Would you be interested in finding out how we might be able to help you get rid of those allergies? It's the same question for any product or service or thing that you do that can help that person. Just ask them. Right? Some of the other things that I offer, right? The Forever Young package, the Vivaz bed, supplements, products, lifestyle choices, medical weight loss. We'll talk about these. When do I get in these? I get into these, I think, tomorrow. But any of the products or services, right? These are some of the other products or services that you can offer people. Right? The more you do, the easier it is, right? Because here's the thing. What's the biggest expense? Getting people in the front door. Once they come in the front door, how much does it cost them to say, hey, would you be interested in an anti-aging program? Hey, would you be interested in allergy testing? Hey, would you be interested in anything else you offer? How much more does that cost you? Nothing. Some of the people will say no, that's fine. Some of the people will say what? Yeah, tell me more. What I'm interested. Right? Now, someone asked me earlier, and someone always asks me, so I put it up here in a slide. All the guarantees, all the numbers, they don't all match. Which ones do I use? Whichever ones you want. Right? The reason why they don't match is when I first started doing this, it was a 2-paddle machine that took 40 minutes to treat just the stomach. Right? So some of the numbers, time frames, how much we charged, results patients got, versus at the end of this, I was doing it with my 8-paddle machine. Right? So not everything got changed everywhere consistently. I'm sure I missed something here or there. So at the end of the day, you know, sometimes the guarantees are different. Sometimes the prices are different. Sometimes this doesn't match that quite. You know, here it's 54 and here it's 48. Well, I don't understand. It's because I did it for 2 years and my practice itself changed with the equipment and stuff we were using. That's why you'll see slight change differences in different places, because it just didn't get them all changed exactly right. So, that being said, right, Use whichever ones you want. Today, I'll talk about what you can actually expect and what's a realistic number to promise, but don't get hung up in that this guarantee says that and that guarantee says that. I'll tell you later today what you can actually guarantee confidently. Right? So, actually, I guess I moved it right here, right? So the first one is 95% of the people will lose inches on the first visit on a tape measure. So that's why you can guarantee after the first visit, if you don't see an inch loss on the tape measure, we'll refund your money. This maybe is not in the notes. Yeah, something I'm always adding and updating. Thanks for coming. So I'll let you copy that down real quick. Sure, take a picture with your cell phone if you want. Now, one of the numbers, I should get a picture of that. Everybody hold up their cell phones. One of the newer things that I just recently started having people test and doing in the last couple of weeks is doing 1 mega treatment. Right? When I say one, I mean you can do more than them. But what happens is people come in on the first visit, and you take all 32 paddles and you slap them down, because my latest machines have 32 paddles. Or you take 16 and you move them twice, or you take 8 and you move them 4 times. And so you spend 28 minutes treating a patient, legs, belly, arms, back, and you measure. And the results that people are getting is they're getting around 3 to 7 inches per treatment that patients are losing when they measure all those areas. And a lot of people decided, hey, if they're losing more inches in one visit, I can charge more. Right? My record holder is charging $500 for one of those visits. Multiple areas in 28 minutes, because my machine only runs 7 minutes, so you put them on, move it, put them on, move it, put them on, move it, put them on, move it. Now, one of the things I'll talk about here at some point is the bed. I have now a bed that you lay in it, treats the whole body. If other people are getting $500 for treating the whole body and losing 3 to 7 inches, guess what you might be able to get for the bed? Same thing. So far, the record holder on my bed is only charging $250. I don't think you're charging $250 yet, are you? Yep. And they're getting it. So anyway, this is what you can guarantee, though, confidently for patients to get. Right? Good. So how you guys doing? How you feeling? You guys glad you came so far? Liars. Nobody said anything. It means you're not glad you came. So I talk about this because this is a good time for it in the training. Do you think you're going to remember everything I said today? So if you want to do what I say, what does that mean you have to do? Take notes and go back and review the notes, right? So you came in today being unconsciously incompetent because you didn't really do it. Unless you've been doing it before, then you're not there. But that's what a lot of you came in today, right? Then you start to learn that, you know what? I didn't know what I was doing. Right? Conscious incompetence, meaning that you now know you don't know how to do it. Right? You're starting to become consciously competent, meaning that, okay, if I think about it, if I go back and look at my notes, if I review stuff, I can figure out how to do this. I've got the roadmap. And then you get to the top one, which is where you can stand up in front of a room and just spout this stuff out of your mouth like you've said it 1,000 times, because you have. Does that mean you have to see 1,000 patients first? No, you can see one. You just practice it 1,000 times. Now, do you really have to practice it 1,000 times? No, nothing in here is that complicated, right? If you actually went home and said, okay, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 months in a year, I'm going to put all those 6 things I added one. I'm going to put all those 6 things I have to memorize on my calendar and review them, right? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 6 months in a year. If you actually did that, at the end of the year, you'd know it. In fact, at the end of a couple weeks, you'd know it. Right? Review them. Read them through a few times. Right? When the guy who makes $100,000 a month, when he says he does what I teach, do you think he does some of it and maybe kind of learned it and half memorized the stuff? No, he'll tell you. I went to the training, and then what we did with the staff, because he brought 5 of his staff members with, what we did with the staff is we actually reviewed and retrained and role-played how to do that stuff. It wasn't just to go back and go at it, right? Now, I like to emphasize this one point here, is that 7 years in practice, 7 years, I did the consultations in my office up until the day that I sold it. Why? Because it's the hardest thing to train somebody else to do, and I was really good at it. So, what would I do? 80% of the people signed up for a year care plan on visit 2 without ever getting adjusted. That was my stat, average. Sometimes it was 75, 85, whatever, but right around 80%. Year care plan, visit 2 without ever getting adjusted. Now, what did I do after 6 years? Did I just go in and wing it? You know, I didn't necessarily practice, but you know what I still did? 6 years after doing that. 7 years into practice of doing that same thing. Actually, it was only about 4 or 5 but when I learned that system or created that system. But my point is, I still looked at my notes. I still went back and reviewed my notes. It only took me like 3 minutes to do at this point. But once a week, once every couple of weeks, I'd go back and I'd look at my notes. And every once in a while, like every couple of months, I'd look at my notes and I'd be like, I forgot about that. Wow, okay. Let's start doing that again. Right. That's how you get to unconscious competence, right? Or you can just wing it, either or. All right, so now, somebody calls up and says, I want to come in, I'm interested, I have questions. How do you answer the phone? What do you do? What do you say? Here's what you do, here's what you say. Because if you just answer the phone however you answer the phone, you'll get what kind of results you always have gotten. 90% of the people who call up should schedule an appointment and show up. How do you get them to schedule the appointment and show up? The basic is really simple. Don't answer their questions. Now, I think that goes against all common sense that most people would try and argue, and that little voice in your head just went, don't answer their questions. They're never going to call and schedule if you don't answer their questions. Anybody little voice say that when I said that? You answer. I don't know. What page am I on? Anyone know? Okay. The scripting is on your data USB, I know for sure. So if you have the data USB, it's already on there. It's also on one of the websites too. But yeah, this is on the pre-selling website that everyone has in here as well. So anyway, so the only job of the front desk is to get the consultation scheduled, right? That's it. That's the only job. So how do we answer the questions without answering the questions, right? Here's how it is, right? So people, the most commonly think they're going to call them and go, so how much is it? I don't know. We covered that in the consultation, right? Go over how much it's going to cost, how long it will take, if we can help you, and what's wrong with you. And you'll know all that so you can then make a decision with no pressure, no obligation. Oh my gosh, what was that? Does that sound familiar? Vaguely, right? So they ask again, but how much is it, right? Well, everyone's case is different. The doctor's going to cover all of that. He's going to go over that with you and what are you going to say? The 4 things, right? What's wrong? If we can help, how long it's going to take and how much it's going to cost, all with no obligation or pressure. When would you like to get that scheduled? Now, did I ask, would you like to schedule a consultation? Because then they can say what to that? They can say no. So I asked them, when would you like to? All right. Now this is the abbreviated version, but this is all on that. I think it's a 1-page script on your pre-selling website, right? They ask again, how much does it cost though? Because some people are persistent. What you say is it's about 1/3 of the cost of LiPo. Now what do they know? Now they have some idea. Now they know what? It's not cheap, because 1/3 of the cost of LiPo is not free, but they now know what? It's not that expensive. Right? It's like saying, you know what? Lamborghinis are cheap. And everyone hears the little voice and it goes, what? Compared to a Learjet. Right? It's all a comparison. Cheap compared to what? Sure, you could say that. I don't think it's a third of the cost of cool sculpting, though, is it? No, if cool sculpting is my big competitor in the area, this is an interesting question. How would I answer the phone differently? Would I answer the phone differently? No, I meant I don't think I would. I don't think I'd compare it to cool sculpting unless they asked. I'm just going through I'm just going through a bunch of different scenarios in my head of what people would say and what they're expecting. Because the problem is that when somebody calls you, they're interested in you. They're not necessarily price shopping. Sure, some people are, but most people aren't. And you don't want to put any ideas in their head that weren't there in the first place. And you don't know who's thinking about cool sculpt and who isn't. So I wouldn't compare it against it over a phone call like this unless they specifically brought it up. I would still compare it to lipo. Then they still ask, how much does it really cost? But I just want to know. You say it can be anywhere from $300 and up, depending on what you need, how much you're willing to change, and what kind of results you want. Right? If somebody absolutely is like, how much, there is no answer, because if you have packages and programs, the front desk could answer that question. But if all you're doing is programs and care packages based on the individual person's needs, can the front desk even answer that question if they wanted to? No. Now, why don't you want to say the price over the phone? Because it has no value yet. To them, it's just the one, whatever they think it is, and that's it. And if they haven't done the homework themselves to figure out how their weight loss has affected their moods, energy levels, emotions, friends, family, they're judging it against that one thing and not what it really is. All right, so any questions on the front desk? The front desk, their job is not to answer questions. Their front job is not to do anything other than get the appointment scheduled. And how she does that is she ends every answer by saying, right, when would you like to schedule a consultation? What days work good for you? Okay. Oh yeah, we're going to go all over all of that in your consultation. What's wrong? If we can help, how long it's going to take, and how much it's going to cost. We go over all that with no obligation. When would you like to come in and find all that out? Then you can decide whether or not you want to do it.